due to the fact that many people have consulted me through private messages about the imbalances, since I talk quite a bit about them, but don't teach them directly. Even though I explain details in the reviews, old reviews, notes in my Discord, I've mentioned them in many places. This is the first time I'm going to address them directly with my experience in DTFX. And since I have previous experience in ICT, in fact I worked with ICT much longer than I've been with DTFX, which is 1 year now with DTFX. With ICT, I worked much longer, so at this point, I feel I have the authority to speak regarding imbalances in DTFX. I'm not going to teach in terms of ICT or silver bullet or inversion or anything like that, simply how I implement them using DTFX and how they work in my experience. Well, remember that I don't have the absolute truth about how things work, but it has been a method that has given me consistency for many months, and those who have known me for a while know that I have used the same thing without changing absolutely anything for a long time. So, when you have such results, you have the authority to talk about them. So, what is an imbalance? Quickly, it's when you have 3 candles in one direction. 1, 2, 3, and the wicks of the first candle and the third candle do not touch. In these two, the wicks do not touch, and the gap, this space that remains in the second candle, the body of this second candle between these 2 wicks, this is the imbalance. Well, this is an imbalance. The same goes for the downside. You have 3 candles in one direction, and when you notice that the wick of the first and third do not touch, what you have here in the middle is an imbalance. And that's it. That's simple. Now I will try to be as direct as possible with the information, so this doesn't drag on too long. Sensitive points for me in terms of reaction. In an imbalance, we are going to have your 50%. Let's take this first 50% as an example. What there is, CT calls itself in cronyism. This is for me the most sensitive point of reaction. And in this case, we are going lower. Second point of reaction. Well, actually, this would be the first that the price would reach, then the 50. But for me, the best ones from tab develop from here to use this point here. You need to have some knowledge when the price is making an immediate delivery. So the price, usually what it does is take out this candle here. And as soon as it makes the tap to the imbalance, it gives a reaction. This point and this point are my 2 points of interest to start looking for setups with DFX, and likewise of target, when I identify that the price left this imbalance unmitigated and went away, and we are already building a loose order. This here is my first target when I'm in longs. Remember that areas are not only points of interest for entries, but also price magnets, and we should use them as targets when we identify that the price is moving towards them. Now, well, this second Here it's called the ICT entry drill. As price touches here, swipes this high and leaves. That's the entry drill. It mostly occurs when the price is making, as I say, a very strong delivery. So it consolidates a bit around here, while the imbalance closes, like inducing sweep touches, and goes. So that is the entry drill. Already, the consequent encroachment, not 50%, is simply the midpoint of the imbalance, and it takes longer to develop, generally. But it usually happens in the same way that this also simply goes away, and that generates liquidity and comes with a strong movement, touches it, and usually we have a wick, a strong reaction when touching it. I like to see it when we are working at 50%. Let the bodies of the candles close all below. All the bodies of the candles below, 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 and up only wicks. When we start seeing this, I like that imbalance. I am not someone who arrives and takes an aggressive entry with a limit on the imbalances. Never. I am always waiting to see what the price starts to show me. So, to lock the 50%, we want to see these bodies closing at the 50%, respecting it, and that the wicks either show no rejection from the other half of the imbalance, or sometimes even go higher to touch a fractal, which tends to be responsible, and from there a rejection occurs and the body closes at 50 again. So it's a very good indication of the direction we expect, but at the same time, it's one of the reasons why I'm not aggressive with those taps at 50% of the imbalances, because I know that sometimes the price just feels it to come and touch something, and then it does react. So, alright, those are going to be our 2 points of interest of the imbalances. Now let's gather a couple of things that I have spoken about in several reviews, and especially in the latest videos that I uploaded of the trade breakdown, where I explain how to build a setup. And in the last market review that I mentioned, there's a part about accumulation to generate imbalance and to show you how today's price action on Tuesday, September 3rd, worked perfectly with everything I have mentioned these past few days. So start taking notes. When I have many imbalances in one time frame, look, I'm on 15 minutes. I have many continuous imbalances in one time frame. What do I do? Do I take the first one, the middle one, or the last one that was created? Which one do I take? Nothing. I don't use any of those. I adjust the temporality until there's only one imbalance left between these temporalities. I know many use 12 minutes because of the 1, 2, 6, 144 and the multiples, but I've seen imbalances in 12 minutes and they are horrible. I've always stuck with these time frames. They're my favorite. I'm a big fan of the quarters where I really like 4 hours, 1 hour, 15 minutes. I like everything like that. So, many continuous imbalances. I move up the time frame until only one remains. How can I identify the price going to the higher time frame imbalance? It's simple. Here's the example. When the price hits the first imbalance, it lacks a follow-through. It doesn't give you a continuation. It starts to become a trend. A trend that's beginning to fill imbalances. Just like here. Look, there's a 5-minute one. When the price starts merging with bodies, there's an initial rejection here. This wick touches the imbalance. It's 50% perfect. It has this reaction, and immediately we have the rejection again, and we start closing with bodies, and the price starts to consolidate like this. I know. Stunned that it is waiting for a higher time frame imbalance to close. It is generating liquidity that will be swept later to touch the higher time frame imbalance. Keep that in mind. When the price doesn't give you that immediate continuation with the last imbalance that was generated, and it starts to stay like that, that's what the price will be waiting for. Now, the other thing I mentioned to you in the last video with the topic of fractality, time, and price, I know already, because I'm so used to watching Nasdaq all day, every day, for so long, that at certain times, some candles are about to close that matter to me, whether it's the 1 hour, the 4 hour, or in some cases, the 15-minute ones. But I already know that every hour and every certain number of hours, these two are going to close. So when I see that the price is staying like this for so long, and I'm close to the closing of one of those candles, I already know that an imbalance was created in this case above the current consolidation. Therefore, if I see that the price is going there, my target will be the high from wherever a higher time frame candle has closed. For example, right here, look here, 4 and 15, 4, and I'm referring to the time that shows up here, 4 and 30, and 5, 4 and 5, alright? I already know that there I have a new 1 hour candle, and what does the price do here? It gets to 6, and we have neither continued nor made a delivery from this other imbalance yet, this 15-minute one. In the 5-minute one, it had reached, I don't know if this one, I think this developed downwards first and then went up. And another hour passed here. Actually, 2 hours have passed. At 6, then 7, then 8, and we're still there. So I should have a target if I know that here a 1 hour candle closed after several continuous candles in that direction. When I have many continuous candles in the time frame, this is an imbalance in a higher time frame. So if I move up to 1 hour, there is the high that we had marked in 15 minutes. Simply based on time, it turns out to be the high of the 1 hour candle. And here is the tap to the imbalance. Price rejects immediately and goes back into the range once I already have that tap. That's where I start my order flow reading in this price action, not before. Don't get lost within the range. We already know that the price is looking for something, and that will be our trigger to start that order flow reading and to be able to find entries. Well, quickly like that. I say quickly because the goal is not to do a review, but so you understand what happened. We have here the high that we took. A break happened here. Everything was with wicks, but in a lower time frame, we could consider this area here as the responsible area. Here it has internally its own person in charge, and in a shorter time of being fractal, also responsible over here. But you already know that I like to take the area that contains all that. Well, it breaks from which area of this? Then this area in which it becomes both in the flip.
Indeed, it becomes both the flip and the one responsible for having removed the person in charge.
Well, look, I'm not taking this one back here because it's the same area I had already taken. I had already taken out this small area at the back. So this is a really important area here. So look, being patient, just by reading the price, I can get the best entry without setting limits around here, which I would never have touched. I simply wait for my trigger, have clear objectives, and then I look for confirmations. Happy. This was the one I entered, let's say, within an hour. The wick went a few points further, but nothing major. This is basically that entry. Accumulates a bit, generates some liquidity, swipes, touches the imbalance, and goes. Now, let's continue developing the day. Well, quite a linear drop. I'll open a parenthesis. Never try to guess that the price is going to leave you an imbalance no matter how strong a movement is. Just because I'm here and the price is going like this and then continue to drop over here, it doesn't necessarily mean that there will be an imbalance left here. This is often called immediate rebalancing of the price. The price comes, touches what was creating the imbalance, and from there, the reaction never adds up. So never assume that an imbalance will close no matter how deep the price goes into it. For example, if the price comes around here, for those who use inversion, it starts to react at 50 of this imbalance but gives nothing and starts to go away, and the price already comes around here, and they already say no, this is going to be an investment. I'm going long, but it turns out it was just a wick to a rod, super quick, and immediately they get the wick and the rejection from that, and they get a strong wick here. They never get the body. So wait for the candle. Closes. Don't assume absolutely anything ever in the price. Well, this was the first price action with imbalance. See that we apply the multi-time frame to make an imbalance. Clear. The price starts consuming imbalances in various time frames. 5 minutes. 15 minutes. 1 minute with more reason. We had this one here. Look at how the price did both. First it entered the imbalance, rejected. If it rejects this, it becomes a weak high. That is the price target. The price can come and take this. Then it reaches 50, tries delivery again, rejects again, which becomes a target. This comes and takes it. Perfect. Then here it failed to put a new logo, already being in this area. If this area is failing to give continuation in putting logos, from its 30% in this case. What does this tell me? That the area can be taken and look at how all that order flow starts to build. It is the 1 hour target. So see how in the lower time frame, the entire higher time frame structure is being built, being clear about what is happening. Now that I told you when the 30% doesn't put a new logo, don't keep making shorts and shorts. Well, it gives you points from 50%, which is good for scalpers, but I'm not interested in you looking for ways to make money right now. I want you to understand the price, then the profits will come on their own. And then here, the origin of the fractal, where the 70% is. Another move, but it couldn't clear the area here. From where it started and ends up here, the price. See how in a minute, everything happens, just like everything I've taught you. The rejections, the functions. What fails to make a new low in distributing, in continuing. The same concepts apply to absolutely all market movements. So when I already know that the low time frame is taking its time and failing to deliver, we are having this type of medium range, slightly trending upward, because the price is finishing looking for something. It's waiting for something from a higher time frame to now really move. Well, let's continue here. Over here, you only see wicks, wicks, wicks. It didn't leave us any imbalances to consider. Be careful when the price does this in the same way. Be careful in this case, as we keep falling. But be careful because the price can come to touch something for a swipe. And then all of this. Touch the imbalance that was left around here since it started doing this, and from there continue. The same applies to zones, origins, zones validated by order flow, etc. And it's the scenario I talked about in the last few videos. The scenario. And you'll see that the same thing happens several times. I'm here. See? I'm here. And then again, the price dropped. Now tell me what happened here. See this? See this? You see? It's exactly the same. So be patient. Don't get swayed by these strong downward movements and wait for your areas. So here we go again. A drop with many consecutive candles already. Well, here's this 1 minute imbalance. Gave continuity. I think I did a short here, in fact, upon seeing this and that. It had targets. This, that was 245. 245. Well, I was definitely targeting this, because this wolf becomes a target here, as a parenthesis, that the price tried to make a swing. And then the price started to fall like this, and already removed all those internal origins that I told you to look for, from a wolf, that I don't use a new high. Well then, good. From that imbalance, I have it marked, because I think it is a short from there. Then a superlinear movement happened, done in short. I recall it being slow, slow, slow. Left that runner on. Think I closed around here, then it went strong. Look at the time. 10:45, which closes a 15-minute candle. I have several 1-minute imbalances. And here, like I said earlier, if the price starts closing with bodies inside the imbalance, and there's no tap rejection here at the super this high, it should be looking for something else. Or it's waiting for something from a higher time frame. Look, in 5 minutes I have several. I have that one. I have that one. I have the one above. And I know that here a 15-minute candle closed for me. The price is again lingering here for a long time, not doing anything with the imbalances. This one did nothing with the 5-minute one. And look how beautifully it's preparing in the opposite direction. The same thing. It's accumulating upwards and gives me a 1-minute imbalance, unmitigated here. This one was beautiful. This sector here in an unmitigated imbalance. Then record 6. When the price reaches a point, it simply starts to do this. And here, I have an imbalance. All this is going to become a target. And many times what happens is that people take this as a change of structure. And the price just came either to touch a hidden fractal over here, a hidden ascending at the end where all this started, or simply touch the imbalance, and there it takes everything back again. So, don't be so mechanical with the structure. I have always told you, order flow always surpasses structure, so they have the basics, and understand that the market moves by impulse of retracements, so they have a logic to read the price. But the superiority in this is achieved when you understand order, when you understand that the price reaches objectives, changes, cycle, again goes for new objectives in another direction, and so on and so forth. So we have that here in this direction, and then we also have it in the other. It leaves us these imbalances and mitigates, while it created the other one above 15 minutes. At the moment when it tracks, then we are ready. But I lost. Ah, well. Here we are here. It closed the one at 10:45 for me. I see the only imbalance here. Look how, well, up there where the other one was left. But look how all this rebalanced, rebalanced, rebalanced. It never left us imbalances. 15 minutes is the highest time frame in which I find a single imbalance in this whole movement. And there we have the entry drill again. Follow this, tap, and it goes. So for me, the macro hours of ICT don't exist. I see it more as an excuse because they just happen to be in the last minutes and first minutes of the hourly candles. It makes sense that when closing and opening new 1-hour candles, there is more volume in the market, there are decisions being made, etc. And we know that price is fractal, and if we are working with rejections in 1 minute or seconds, we know that the price is going to be the same in hours, in days. Price will oscillate between high, low. It's going to take them, and then it's going to rebuild the order flow it had. So then it's ready. It touches this 15-minute imbalance, and then we go straight to clear all this out due to the imbalance of 1 minute that was left unmitigated. See how around here it had marked 1, the price had come to it, and here. It closed with body, and it also closed with body in this other one. Important, because sometimes it happens that one closes with body, but the other doesn't, and that one makes delivery. The price starts to respect the inverted area, the investment here, and that leads us to this imbalance. And that's where what happens in the video I've explained here happens. So what do we have up here? We have the flip area, a high, a low, a high that takes out the low. It comes to 3%, goes, validates the area, our target, the first up that we have here. Flip again, takes out the first up, touches 50-70, even with quite a large wick, which is a hidden ascend, and then the price goes. But look at the interaction with the imbalances. The ones I want you to see are these more than anything. They are generated and start to accumulate. These are the ones I want you to pay the most attention to with DTTFX. Since we understand something about structure, since we understand areas of possible reaction, since we understand all this, I want you to focus on these imbalances that have an accumulation. In this case, up high. If it were lower, it would start accumulating at the bottom. Okay? Now here again, the same scenario as the video immediately afterwards. In fact, this is also similar. It made this strong movement, started here and did this. Took everything out. I think here the weekly candle was already taken out. This fractal was late for me. And I feel this from the previous week. There it is. It got that out. That rejection happened. And the price is coming to surpass all this to come. Because look at how the price consumed itself, rebalanced all this. This small imbalance was consumed. But the one that left us again is this one up here. So if I see so many candles, what can I conclude? And maybe there is one from a higher time frame here. You see, everything is much prettier without mitigating them. So whenever you see a bunch of imbalances, the same applies to DTFX zones. If you see a lot of HID fractals in SND, move to a higher time frame. The price will give you much more clarity. When the price moves through levels and closes with a body, it means a higher time frame is at work. Focusing on lower time frames can mislead you and obscure the bigger picture. Mislead you on the price, because the price does things like this on a 15-minute time frame, and you want to take a short from the first 5-second area you find around here. But this is not how price works. And well, there, this 5-minute imbalance, you saw how nicely it respected it, and afterwards, once again, the same story, and this one was the nicest. This was my best trade of the day, with an alert included, created at 13. Creada a las 13:07, por acá, precio
Over here, price 173.
Here in the bag of this hike, activated the 3 of 22. Here, we have a person responsible for taking it out. This high, the one from here, giving us this movement. What is left for us? An area responsible for taking this responsible out. We have this area left. And what is on top with this imbalance, with this displacement? The imbalances are a sign of strength in one direction, one. So, we have the area that this responsible one breaks for us. Therefore, we know that the price can come to mitigate that, to give the continuation once this is forming. So why do I set the alarm there once I am here? Because the price is failing to break this low. After it had been going down all this time, it started to go up. So I said, okay, the price is going to come here to take this high, mitigate 50% of the imbalance that was missing. If this fails to make that delivery, then the entries will be here, and again, beautifully. And look at all this here. You see how it's the only imbalance? The price accumulates, 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 then goes down, comes back, sweeps everything here, and then it went up again. But we have this rejection. So when we see these rejections, we know that the price might be looking for a higher target.
So these are the imbalances I want you to focus on.
If you don't have experience in ICT, don't start using more imbalances. Why? Because I assure you that something similar to what's here will happen to you. The price actually hasn't created a significant imbalance, or it creates an imbalance after already doing something, and you might suddenly want to short from here, or sometimes the price is falling, and you see an upward imbalance, and you already want to go long, when in ICT, generally, when there's a direction, a bias, the price will first go in the opposite direction to create bullish PDR raise, and then reverse to make the opposite move. All the bullishness generated here is simply liquidity, which is being built to later extract the return on investment from that. That's why ICT is against all its upward PDR raises, and then the reversal of the opposite, and the investment, and the reap and the reclaim and so on. But well, then focus on these moments, when there is accumulation, when they are going to close higher time frame candles, and wait for the price to hit. Don't assume the price will go there, because sometimes it just goes and goes and goes, and you keep going long, 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 thinking it will reach the imbalance. Never assume anything about the price. Always wait for it to give you the opportunity to look for a trade. Don't force the price to do things for you. The price does what it has to do when it has to do it, and that's it. So, well, that's a summary of how I use imbalances in DTFX, which I want to show you. I tell you that I don't go into depth with more ICT topics because it will simply confuse you. So I want to show you the ones that implement the types of structures that we see, the sweeps, the accumulations, everything we see in DTFX. But beyond other types of uses for imbalances, I don't want to show you right now. Just remember the sensitive points. It's something I've been using for a long time. Just like this. Look. This from the beginning of the year. Believe me, all the information has always been there. I've always shown you, since I opened my community, what I use. I haven't changed it. And many people simply prefer to go and follow the one who shows them profits in a demo account. And that's it. And in the end, they realize they are frauds. But why? Because people don't want to take the time to truly understand things the way they should be understood. And I've seen many who, after wasting so much time, are just now coming to learn things correctly. The new stuff with imbalances. Look at this from December. Imbalance as a target for December 1st, 2023. Let's go. I'll show you to wrap up. 1st of December. Here it was the 1st of December. So what was the price doing? Note that this is another thing I was forgetting to mention to you. Why weekly and not daily? Because in daily, the imbalance already has a cap. So when I see the price doing the price action that it was doing here in December and this double hit locally and publicly on Twitter as well, I no longer make public calls, to be honest. When I start seeing this, it's the same. I already know that this is going to get swiped. It is waiting for a higher time frame imbalance to close, and we are going to go for it. But on the daily chart, the imbalance has already done its thing. But then I know that in the greater temporality. What did we have? Look, here it was, the daily low. But on the weekly, it is still unmitigated. So once the price is performing this price action, all of this, and the structure shifts downward, that's when on the 1st of December I indicated that this is the target. And this already happened the next week, December 4th. So what did I say there? 50% of the imbalance, soon, from the weekly imbalance. I mentioned it right there when we were getting there. And there was absolutely nothing else here, because this was the CPI candle. A linear movement of news. Then the price hits everything, reaches its target, and changes the cycle again, as I just told you. So keep the targets clear. There are always people searching for shorts, but prices hit targets and shift cycles repeatedly. Remember, prices don't move linearly forever. And look, it's the same information as always for months and months and months, and I've always taught you the same thing, always the same. So, that's it. I leave you the information. I think this is something that, well, I haven't seen 3 fingers of TFX explaining the actual use of the imbalances. And taking advantage of the fact that I already had previous experience with ICT and the way I've used them with DTFX, I see myself as capable of showing it publicly. So, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope this can help you a lot.